Either you hate them or you love them. Villains. Hello, I am Avery, and today we're going to be diving in deep on what makes a good villain. A villain can make or break a story. A good villain can put people on edge and become more invested in a story. But a bad villain can make consumers feel bored and annoyed. Well, what is a good villain? As many believe, a good villain needs to have opposition or a problem for our main protagonist to overcome, changing them in a process. For example, throughout the Star Wars sequel trilogy, our quote-unquote main protagonist, Rey, never loses to the villain of Kylo Ren, in which he never gets to be seen as an obstacle to overcome and doesn't challenge Rey and or change her. Whereas the Joker from The Dark Knight will be able to do what Batman was never able to do in taking down the Mafia, bringing in criminals from one of the biggest organizations in Gotham. This would eventually make Batman question the need for a caped crusader, changing our main protagonist forever. Enter Puss in Boots in The Last Wish. Before we even meet the villain, Puss in Boots is shown to be an arrogant, fearless hero who, quote-unquote, laughs in the face of death. Enter the Wolf. Appearing out of nowhere, said to be a bounty hunter by Puss, in which he would go on to easily defeat Puss, forcing our hero to feel a fear for the first time. But if you want to learn more about this scene and why it's a perfect introduction, go watch Ghost Toast's video on why the first encounter with the wolf is a perfect scene. Moving on, this first scene automatically provides us, the consumer, with a question of how will Puss overcome him? Till the very next scene in which Puss retires the legend, eventually accepting the invitation from his barber to go to Mama Luna's house, in which he slips into a deep depression. In this one scene, it shows the impact of fear that this wolf put into Puss. Until later on in the movie, when Puss sees him again, it scares him, making him run away and hide, making him so scared that he leaves the map to the wishing star as he sees him in every detail of branches and rocks, giving our hero a panic attack with all just his presence. Until once again later on in the movie, in the Cave of Lost Souls, Puss meets with his former lives as he seems to have changed, until once again we meet with the wolf, in which we eventually learn that
you are death. And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. I'm death, straight up.
In this, Puss runs away in fear of losing his final life, leaving his friends behind and going on to make his wish, until he meets with Kitty Softpaws and Pedro again on the wishing star as he's about to make his wish. But he's down to his last life and he is scared for the first time in his life, in which, with Puss's final battle with death, Puss says,
I know I can never defeat you, Lobo, but I will never stop fighting for this life.
Death leaving as Puss is a change, as he is not the legend he so desperately wanted to be, but instead a lover and a friend. Now, why is the wolf, or Death, such a good villain? In the end, Death changes the views and motives of our hero. That is why he is such a good villain. And also, just look at him. He's just so cool. And that whistle, fantastic. But anyways, what makes a good villain? Is it fear? Is it being a true threat to our hero? Well, I believe what makes a good villain is someone who changes the ideals of our protagonist, also possessing a true threat. This is why villains such as the Joker are so memorable, while others, well, let's just say you probably don't even remember who this guy is. Well, anyways, I'm Avery. It's been real. I just want to say thanks for watching. This was my first attempt at doing something like this, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't be afraid to leave a comment on what you like, dislike about this, and what would you like to see me cover in the future. Peace.